Hey, girl. Hey. Well, welcome to the SheShed. I am excited to have you here. Make sure, just let's do a little housekeeping before we get started. So, if you are here, please make sure to put some comments in there. You are free to ask questions. I will be looking on the screen to see if there's anything that y'all want us to talk about in particular. Any questions that you have about what may be said. And then understand and realize that SheShed is a place where we have conversations that make an impact. My whole purpose behind the SheShed was to help women to shed the weight in a space that is safe and comfortable and brave. And tonight I am excited. Can I say excited, y'all? I am excited to have my girl in the building. Like, for those of you that don't know, Marchell, I'm trying to. I don't want to. I want her to introduce herself to the fullness. However, she came into my life on a dark day. And it's funny because if you are a member of Sister Talk, you know exactly what that means. But she came into my life and I have held on tight. We often say, she and I, we often say we are soulmates. And as I said in my intro, when I was talking about the show, you can have a soulmate that's not a romantic partner. A soulmate is someone that you really connect with, that you don't have to say a whole lot to. They know what you feel and what you mean. And that is the relationship that I had with Marchell. So, a little bit about her from my perspective. She is a go getter. She is that type of person that if you tell, if she has something in her mind, let's put it like that. If she has something in her mind, honey, she gonna make it come to pass. And she don't give up. And that's one of the things that I just love about her is that she is a go-getter. And anybody that knows her and has been around her for a little while, they know she is the vibe setter. That's one of the words, one of the attributes that she gave is that she is the vibe setter. And I have to say, she really is. So without further ado, I am going to bring Miss Marchell into the room. Let's see if I can get this to work. There she go. Hey girl.
Girl.
How you
Ooh,
doing?
I am good. I am great, actually. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. I'm
Okay.
excited about having you in the she shed.
Hmm.
We have been talking. They was like, bring her out, bring her out. I got her out.
Whoop,
Y'all,
whoop,
she's
I'm
here.
here.
Yes. She is in the house. Um, I have been talking about getting you on the she shed since we started. And
Wow.
I finally was able to plead and beg, and
Woo.
you are here. And I'm super excited.
Thank
So
you.
you heard the things, the brief things that I said about you, and you read the intro that I gave
Mhm.
when I was talking about you, and you already know that I love you like a fat kid love cake, like
I
you
love you
know.
back.
And so, but I want you to tell the people who you are and what you do.
I'm Marshall. Um, so, as far as my, I guess, 9 to 5, I'm an insurance professional. But outside of that, I am a certified life coach. I am an auntie. That's one of my favorite roles, I think. Um, but I'm just genuinely, authentically me, right? And so, where I find myself now is just being a testimony, walking, breathing, living, talking testimony. And one of the things I'm most passionate about outside of those attributes I've already mentioned is the fact that my story does resonate with so many women. Um, and it just seems for a long time when I've looked back, even in my lowest moments, it was like God was just always strategically placing someone in my path, and especially during those lowest moments. And I was just constantly questioning, like, why?
Mm.
I have nothing, nothing to give to them. I have nothing to say to them. And a lot of times I spoke from my heart. And while encouraging them, I was encouraging myself. And so I am that person who's just really starting to identify who she is, and being accepting of who she is, and not only loving who she is, but liking who she is. I'm a woman.
Yes,
She's a
yes.
woman.
You're a woman.
I'm a woman.
All woman. So you got a lot of people that's saying, hey, hey, hey. So
Hey.
we are excited. If you are a member of Sister Talk, y'all know that Marchell has gracefully taken the role of heading that up. And I am super excited to be able to share that platform with her. Um, so you said a lot of things, and I want to dive into your story.
Mhm.
But I want to give the people and let them know and realize why I love you so much. So
You're
one
not
of the
gonna make me
things
cry.
that we're not gonna cry. We're not gonna
Okay.
cry tonight. We're not gonna cry tonight. We might cry tomorrow. But we ain't gonna cry
Okay.
tonight.
Okay.
But one of the things that I know is when I first met you, it was one of those things that you was quiet. You appeared to be quiet. All of us know that she ain't quiet, y'all. But you appeared to be extremely quiet.
Mhm.
And then once we got to know you and you allowed, those walls to fall, like it was one of those things the way it just kind of felt like home.
Right.
So you said something and I want to ask you about that. Your question, there's somebody said, right, not quiet at all. Exactly. And no, not at all. If anybody know, yeah.
I am.
So you were saying how, I was saying how you came in and you was extremely reserved. What
Mhm.
was that reservation about?
Oh, what was it then about? Um, I had an immense distrust when it comes to people. Um, I've had a lot of losses in life. I've had a lot of disappointments. And so I had so many walls up. It was hard for me to let anyone in because I've been hurt. And that's, not even just from a relationship, intimate relationship standpoint, but friendships, family, you know, it just seems like I was just always going through something. And it just made it hard for me to let anyone in because I was always questioning their motive, their intention. And frankly, I was just tired of being hurt. So
Mm,
I felt the best way to protect myself from that was keep your walls up and don't let anyone in.
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of women go through that. And like you said, it's not just a romantic hurt; it's a hurt in general. And we have learned that if the best way to keep somebody away is to keep them away,
Right.
to keep somebody from really diving in and just to push them away. But what made you give us a chance?
Whew. So we were really at the beginning of the pandemic. Yeah, we were. And if anyone knows me, even though y'all think I'm not quiet, I am an introvert naturally. So pre pandemic, I was accustomed to isolating myself. Most times I was home. If I did, have any invitations from my circle, usually I'm that one that's going to be like, I'm coming, but then day of, I'm canceling. Um, and so I just kept myself hidden, basically. But when COVID hit, it's one thing for you to say, I'm not going. It's one thing for you to say, I'm just going to just deal with me today and not be bothered with anyone else. But when your choices are taken away, and when I realized that that was going to be the case longer than 1 to 2 weeks, I knew that I couldn't just be here by myself. I'm single, no kids, but I deal with depression. And so I was at that point in my healing journey where I realized I needed to do something different. I
Mm-hmm.
realized that, just my normal behavior, my normal responses, it wasn't working anymore. And I was in therapy at that time on and off, but I had such a victim mentality. So even when I was showing up for therapy, it was more of what they did, what he did, what she did, but this, but that. It was very rare that I took a hard look at myself,
Mm.
and the things that I could control. So at the start of the pandemic, I realized, and I told myself and I told God, I was like, when this is over, again, not realizing how long the pandemic was going to be, but I made that promise to myself and God that I was going to come out a better Marchell, a stronger Marchell. And so I actually think I had joined the meetup group a while back, before I even attended the first meeting. But I saw you had the virtual girls' night on Friday. I can sit in my living room, and so that was me deciding I was going to do something different. And of course, I came in with the light off and, my quiet self, just observing. But Sister Talk has just been an absolute blessing to me. It was a very accepting space. It was that space where I finally felt like I can take the mask off. I can just be Marchell. And that was important at that time because I was still figuring out who Marchell really was. And not only did y'all accept me, but y'all were pushing and motivating me. It's hard to sit in a room with women who are, as you described me, go-getters and not want to go yourself. Right. And so y'all made me really like believe in myself. I'm always that person who I can encourage everyone else, but when it came to me, I was my harshest critic. But yeah, it was just y'all set the atmosphere at the right time. Y'all set that temperature. And it was like, okay, Marchell, if you're going to connect with them, if you're going to show up, then you're going to have to start showing up for yourself. And I was
Mm.
ready to do that.
Wow. Yeah, you said a lot in that. And one of the things, no, I mean a good lot. But one of the things I want to bring to the surface is like you was talking about, you was at the beginning, you was in like when you was in therapy, you found yourself in a victim mindset. Like somebody may not know what that means. What does that mean? What do that
That
mean?
means not accepting your own personal faults, not being self-aware, not being accountable. Life is going to happen, and I'm not diminishing that at all. Life is definitely going to life. And
Yes.
there were some things that, I had to endure and experience even from a young age. I have no control over that. But if I continue to look back at that, if I continue to point the blame at everyone else who I don't have control over, then guess what? Nothing is going to change. And I was ready for that. I realized that I can't change anyone else, but I can change myself. I can change my perspective on things. And so that within itself, though, has been a journey. I do want to just kind of touch on that for a little bit because one thing I have not been um, silent about is that I was mad at God for a very, very long time. And for those who don't know, not to give my full story, but I lost my biological mom when I was 4. She died 5 days after my birthday. Um, my birth dad wasn't in my life. Um, I was raised by my maternal great aunt and her husband, who I call my mom and dad. But my dad didn't necessarily give me those things that I needed, neither one of them, that I needed as far as being able to identify with who I am and, what I deserved. And so I opened myself up to a lot of things, seeking validation from other people, and was just broken and absolutely lost.
Mm.
Um, and so I can continue to go on. I have others that I can add to that story, but the common denominator in all of that is me, right? And there were certain things that happened. Again, I had no control over, but there were things that did happen that I had full control over. And that's the part that I had always, I'm not even going to say struggled with. I wasn't even aware that,
Mm.
that's what I needed to be focusing on. It was just so much easier to point again the finger blame at everyone else, but that kept me down, that kept me depressed, that kept me not knowing who I am, that kept me feeling rejected, that kept me feeling abandoned. And so I decided to change my perspective, like who is Marchell really? And the turning point for me with that was I had someone to challenge me a few years ago, for 30 days to write down one thing about myself that I loved. I probably got to like day 2 or 3. But after that, when I tell you I struggled. I can tell you what other people said about me, the good and the bad. I can tell you what I thought other people felt about me. But when it came to like knowing who Marchell was and being able to fully accept a compliment or being able to fully compliment myself, I couldn't. I couldn't.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
was then. That was
And now, and
then.
now,
And now,
and now.
now I'm her, right? Um,
Yes,
now I'm her.
girl.
But yeah, it's definitely been a journey. It's been a
I
journey.
remember we was trying to do something. I don't know, me and you was trying to get together. And you said, girl, my social calendar is full. I have no
Right.
room for nothing. And this is the person that was sitting in the dark, not wanting nobody to know she was there. And now the calendar's full. How does that feel?
Surreal some days. Some days, honestly, I have to pause and I'm like, who is this girl? I am in such awe of myself. And I say that with humility, right? There's not any spirit of arrogance, but I know how far I come. I know that just maybe 5, 6 years ago, I was mad at God every morning for waking me up, right? And now I have such a spirit of gratitude and just thankful for life every day, every breath that I get. And so I'm living now. And so and I'm showing up as me. That's the other part. No longer am I showing up in the dark, like literally and figuratively. No longer am I showing up in the dark. I'm me, my awkward self, you know, my social anxiety self, all of that. I am her, and there is no one else like me. And I say that with all respect to God. He created us uniquely for a reason. We
Absolutely.
all have something to give. We were all wonderfully and fearfully made. And when you really realize that, it makes a difference. It makes a huge difference. So yeah, like I'm so dope.
Come
So
on,
dope.
come on, come on.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Because if we don't, like, you heard me say, if we don't wag our home tail, who gonna wag it? Like,
Right.
if we don't talk about who we are, who will?
Yeah.
But I know that you have a coaching business. I'm
Yeah.
so proud of you for jumping out.
Ooh,
Yes, yes, we're ready to do the big launch. So y'all will see the launch. It's coming. Just give
it's
us
coming.
time. Just give
Yeah.
us time.
Yeah.
But you have a passion. You have a passion for women. And so it's a twofold question. What type of woman are you seeking to serve and why?
I would say it's that woman who really doesn't know who she is. That woman who has low self esteem, she has dealing with imposter syndrome. That woman who wants more out of life but doesn't know how to get it. And also that woman who, she wants more but she doesn't believe that she deserves it. That is the woman. And I feel like, depending on the season and the circumstance, that can be any one of us at any time. And so I just want to be that space where they know that their story is held in confidence, that all they're going to get from me is encouragement and just encouragement and wisdom and empathy, more than anything else. And that's important when you're living in the world that we live in, right? There's so much judgment, or you're looking at social media and all you see is the beautification of things. Sometimes you just need to know, like, it's okay just to be, it's okay not to be, it's okay.
Explain that, because somebody's out there asking, what do you mean it's okay to not be?
So, meaning be yourself, be vulnerable, be honest in where you are. And whether that's a low or a high, just being completely honest and being bold and using your voice, even when you feel like you have none. That's what I mean. So, I know a lot of times people say fake it until you make it.
Mm.
I get it. I understand it. But I feel like you have to face it until you make it. And that means that, as I said, you have to be vulnerable sometimes. You have to let people in. And you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, girl, what are you doing?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to become your own biggest cheerleader, but you also got
Mhm.
to be your own accountability. And I
Right.
think a lot of times we as women, we can always find the fault in other people. And
Mhm.
then if we do find what's wrong with us or the things that's challenging about us, we make an excuse because, well,
Mhm.
this happened to me.
Right.
So how did you get past that part? Like, I'm not going to blame that situation on someone else, because that is what I heard you say was the turning point, is when you said, I'm not doing that no more. How did that look for you?
Like I said, when I realized I was the common denominator and I was starting to see um, certain patterns. And again, I had to ask myself, why? Why is this happening over and over again? Especially when I'm praying and just asking God, help me and for something different. But faith without works is dead. I will tell you though, the turning point for me with a lot of it and most of it is when I lost my mom. So I lost my mom March 29th, 2021. And so I'd always said that something happened to my mom, and that if is like, it's funny because it's not if, but when. But if something happened, that I wouldn't be able to make it because I was already fragile. Um, and so I lost her. And whereas my mom used to be my why, I had to find another why. All I had was me. All I had was me. I had to look within myself. And so, again, God and I had a conversation, and I was just like, if you're going to keep me here, then something has to give, something has to change. And at the time when I lost my mom, I really felt like I was finally finding my footing in life. I had a lot of good things going for me in the midst of the pandemic, and then bam, and so I've been dealing with that for the past couple of years, but I have recently just let the burden of all of it go. I couldn't carry it anymore. And I'm that person too who's always looking out for others. That's a heavy load.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really
Mm-hmm.
heavy load. And I had someone tell me one time that God can handle your anger. And I tested him.
Mm.
He can handle it.
You can handle it.
He can handle it. He can handle your doubts, all of it. And so when you pause and you really allow yourself to see and hear, I started realizing how strategic God was. So at a time that was so devastating in my life, like I said, losing my mom, there was some great things going on. And that's around the time too that Sister Talk was brought into my life. And so I'm surrounded by these women who are just very embracing and very loving. And then I already have, my circle of support. Okay, God, you knew this moment was going to happen. You knew when it was going to happen. And even though this is devastating and I have had to deal with it every day since, I realized that he was making sure that I was good, that even when I couldn't hold myself up, that he had people placed around me. And so that changed the trajectory of everything for me. And one of my favorite scriptures is that God will work everything out, basically for your good. That's the Marchell translation. All things will work together for your good. And I would say that, I would repeat that, I would tell others that, but I didn't really understand, not fully, what it meant, the depth of that. And so I look back at those times and those experiences and those hurts and disappointments that I despised, even losing my mom. He's going to work some good out.
Absolutely.
All of it. And all of
Absolutely.
it. And so I changed my perspective, Tina, honestly. Like, that was the thing. I started, instead of looking at things and questioning, like, why me? I really did start asking, okay, why not
Why
me?
not me?
Why
Yes.
not me? And I used to hate when people said that, but why not? Why not me? And, I'm not exempt for anything that in life, not at all. And he never promised us that. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't still have my low and depressed days, because I absolutely do. I do. I do. But I push myself through, and I don't stop pushing, and I give myself grace in the process, and I give myself permission.
Yes. I
Yeah.
was just going to ask you, what do you do when you have those moments? And you
Mhm.
answered it. Like you said, you give yourself grace and you acknowledge him. You
Right.
realize, okay, today is not a good day.
Right.
Howsoever, I'm not
Mhm.
going to sit in it.
Right.
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 So when you think about the last 3 years,
Mhm.
because that's when the most transforming parts of life
Yeah.
happened. If you can go back to the woman you were 5 years ago,
Mm. Mm.
and I'm cheating because I know some of the background. So, but if you could go back to that person, that woman, knowing what you know now, what would be the advice that you would give her?
I would tell her, the energy that you're putting into everyone else, the energy that you're putting into trying to prove who you are to everyone else, put that energy in yourself. You're more than worthy. You're more than capable. You're enough. That's what I would tell her.
I love
That's
it.
exactly
I
what I
love
would
it.
tell her.
I love it. I love it. So that woman, so we know that there have been some situations that was struggling as it related to just everyday life, like you said, when life
Mhm.
was lifing. But we also know, and you mentioned it very briefly, there was some issues that focused around love and all this and
Mhm.
everything, and we're not going to dive into that unless you decide. But the reason I even mention it is because I'm wondering, how has that changed now that you're loving yourself?
Ooh, my standards have changed. And I would say my expectations, however, I try not to expect anything of anybody. Yeah, because when we do that, we're expecting me from them. You're going to be disappointed every
Every time.
single time. So I can't expect me from them. And so I changed my standards. And I also was very aware, going into things. I'm looking for certain things and just seeing how it all, like, whether it triggers me, or whether it gives me that more opposite positive effect. Am I able to show up as me? And so, again, like I said, I'm not perfect. I still have my days. I still have my moments. And so, without going into too much detail, I I did have a reminder. And those moments are very important. So, I got involved with someone I really liked, and but from the start, it was I found myself questioning myself, and I was trying to figure out, okay, Marchell, is this your trauma showing up,
Mhm,
or
mhm,
is this
mhm.
truly your discernment? And no matter how many red flags I got, I'm still putting it over here. It's my trauma. It's my trauma. I'm trying to rationalize it. And then I found myself in a situation, and I'm asking myself, like, girl, again, what are you doing, and why? Why? But instead of me despising it, I looked at it like, okay, this is what I need to be focusing on right now. That why. And I got myself back into therapy. I started, again, having those hard conversations with myself. And so now I look at dating completely different. I'm not going in like I did before, trying to write the future in my last name, changing it to theirs. And I mean, I'm saying that because I'm 42. I'm almost 43 years old. I am when I say single, I'm single. I've never been married. I've had serious relationships. I have an ex-fiance I don't want to claim, but but I am single. And so from a cultural standpoint, um, there was a long period of time where people looked at me and was like, "What's wrong with you? You're not married and you don't have kids. Like it has to be something wrong with you." And so I identified that,
something's wrong.
yeah, something had to be wrong with me. And now, no, something's right with
Yes.
me. And so I'm going to make sure that if I do involve myself in someone else, that it serves me. I'm not looking at it as, what if I'm not right for him? No. What if he's
He's not
not
right for
right
me.
for me? And so how am I feeling when I'm with him? Again, if I'm on eggshells or I feel like I can't be myself, with all of my imperfection and flaws, then nah, that's not what I want. Because I'm not going back to that, Marchell.
Yes.
I can pretty myself up. I can step out, look just as good next to you. But when I'm home or when I'm not having to be that prettied up version, I need you to be able to accept the fullness of who I am. And I need you to also be able to uplift me when I can. And so if you can't do that, and if you haven't done any work on you, then
Come
baby, I
on.
want you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want you. Because at this point, everybody has a story. I don't care who you
Who
are.
you are. Hmm.
Everybody has a story. So yeah, if you've done no work on you,
Well, we often joke
no,
about it,
because
but we're real serious when we have this conversation.
yeah,
Excuse me. And we say, this is not build a man. I don't have time. I don't have energy.
right.
I just don't have that kind of wherewithal. And that's
Mhm,
exactly what you're saying. Like we got to get to that point where we realize I'm not here to build you. I'm here to add to what you have, but I can't pull you up. So when you're talking to that woman
mhm,
and you can see you all over her
mhm,
and you can see the struggle and you can see where she is seeing these red flags and making them pink because that's her favorite color.
mhm,
What do you do? How do you move forward? How do you take a step back? I got two questions, but how do you take a step back and just be a mentor and a counselor? How do you
mhm.
do that?
First and foremost, allowing that space for her to talk freely. And then I'm going to start asking her some hard questions. And some of those questions, it's not even going to be about him, honestly. It's going to be about her. What do you want?
What do you
Like,
want?
what do you really want in a man? Because if you don't know, you don't need to be dating. That's
That
first
point.
of all. And then when she's able to list those things, like what is essential, what is like non-negotiable. I'm not bending, I'm not being flexible, and I need you to narrow those things down for me, right? Um, because there are certain things that, yeah, we all want the handsome, GQ. I'm a little old, so GQ guy, but is that what's most important to you? No, and I fully believe that whoever you do end up with, he's going to be that package. It's not going to matter. And so again, just asking her those questions, what do you really want, and narrow it down, and then I'm going to ask her, are you those things?
Come on, because we talked about that. It's
Yeah.
like we be asking people to show up
Mhm.
for us in ways that we can't, we
Right.
won't show
Right.
up for ourselves,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's because it's not for me, it's not about looking for anyone to complete me anymore or to validate me. My marital status has nothing to do with my worth, not at all. And so from that perspective, if I can't give myself what I'm expecting from someone else, then I need to work on me first.
That's
I
right.
need to work on me first,
That's
because it's not fair to expect anybody to come in and try to heal those broken places. That's your responsibility. That's yours. They got their own lot to care. Like, no, no. Now, do I need someone to maybe love me through those moments? Check
absolutely
me through those moments? Absolutely. But it's not their responsibility to try to repair what someone else did. And I wouldn't want anyone to do that to me.
right. Right. That's big, and I'm glad you said that. And so we want to make sure the people in the back hear it. Like really, it is not their responsibility. So you also was talking about having you said you don't have any expectations. I know one of the buzz phrases around our world is we don't have expectations, we have intentions.
Right.
So what is your next intention? What's coming up for Marchell now after this?
Oh, intention. And that's big because that was one of my words for 2023. So I'll try to do everything intentionally. Like, why am I doing this? But like you mentioned, Rise, that is my life coaching business. Oh, we were just saying
Say it
that.
with your chest. Say it with your chest.
It's actually been in the work for about 3 years. That's one of the things I was talking about that I was embarking on when my mom passed, and just trying to find myself, my footing again, and not focus so much on the grief, but on my life and the purpose of it. And so I have been doubting the timing, not doubting my ability, but doubting my timing, because I was just dealing with some things, and I just felt like it's not time. I'm not ready. But yes, I am. Yes, I am, because life is about evolving, and
Yeah.
healing is not linear at all. So I'm always going to be healing. I'm always going to be growing, or at least that should be my intention. That should be my strive. And so if I'm waiting for everything to just be right, I will never do it. And
Never.
so Rise is coming. I'm actually also considering strongly a career change. And so I want to mention that too, because that is somewhat recent. And Tina, you know the story, but I'm an insurance professional. I have been in the industry for over 15 years. And so I am currently in a position that was once my long-term goal. And now that I'm here, trying to figure out what my next step is. And I don't know if I want it to still be within that same capacity or vein of what I'm doing. And so I have an acquaintance, a business acquaintance, who from day one has just always seen something in me. Never seen this woman face to face ever. It's just always been virtual, but we connected really, really tightly and really quickly. And so she's always sending me job opportunities. And I'm always like, why are you sending me this? I am so not qualified. I don't have these skills. But she sent me one recently, and I said the same thing. It was a data analytical position in project management, and whereas I have the product knowledge per se when it comes to insurance, the technical aspect I don't. But instead of me saying, like I did so many times before, I don't have this skill set, I applied, because my thought process was, what's the worst that can happen? They tell me no. I've dealt with so much worse than that. And also, I'm always looking for ways to challenge myself and take me out of that box that I've been in for so long. And so that was my challenge. And I interviewed and got a second interview, right? And when I showed up, even when I submitted my resume and my cover letter, I mentioned the fact I don't have these technical skills. I needed them to know that I'm very aware of what the job requirements are and what the job will entail. So I want you to know, but I also want you to know what I can bring to the table and that I have the aptitude to learn. And long story short, I ended up not getting the position. So not disappointed, because in that process, several things happened. Number one, I was just proud of myself for even going for it. And instead of focusing on the technical skills I didn't have, I focused on what Marchell does have. I also was able to make some connections that I wouldn't have before. I was able to find a mentor, right? And so everyone that interviewed me, I interviewed with directors, I interviewed with what would have been peers. And when the director, she wanted to reach out to me personally to give me the news because she wanted me to know that I made their decision very difficult. She wanted me to know that every single person I interviewed with is in full support of helping me get to that position if it's what I truly desire. She offered me mentorship, right? And they provided me with resources on how I can go about earning and acquiring certificates without me having to pay out of pocket. So that would have never happened. I probably would have still been stressed and overwhelmed and just trying to figure out, okay, what else to do. And even though I'm not there yet to wherever that there is, my steps are clearer now.
Yes.
You know, my path is lit. And but if I had stayed just in that miserable, just let me vent, let me complain, that doesn't serve me at all. And it's never going to change the situation. Again, what do I have control over? What can I change?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. It's, you're saying a lot, and I want to make sure I capture the comments from the Facebook group
I forgot they
because
were
they are
there.
blowing it up over here. So of course, we have a couple people. Sharon and Eureka say you need to make it a T-shirt, and I think they're talking about when you was talking about I'm dope, the I'm dope shirt.
Um,
Um, and then it was like, yep, you are that chick and a whole vibe. So, they were just
love
saying,
y'all.
yes, you all of that, right? Um, so what I want to do before while I'm reading these, if you have any questions from Marchell, please drop them in the chat and I'll be reading them. Then I wanted to go, they said you need to write a book. And they even gave you a name for the
Oh
book,
my
girl. They gave you a
gosh.
name for the book. The name of the book is Face It to Make It. That's the name
Listen.
of your book. Yeah, yeah. They
Okay.
done, we very opinionated around here.
Ooh, but Tina, that's crazy because I can't even tell you the number of times I've heard that. Even before I've gotten to this place that I'm currently in, I've heard that for so long. Okay. Okay. I hear
Confirmations after confirmation. Never mind. Confirmations after confirmations. Okay. Everybody is saying they are so proud of you. And then they also said you have arrived. Sis,
y'all.
your healing is a constant practice. That's deep.
Woo,
That's deep.
that is.
And they said God is not looking for your resume. He just needs your yes.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Takesha says, "Oh, look at God." So I guess
That's
it
my
goes
baby
back.
right there. That's my baby. Hey, Keisha. I'm
So I guess it goes back to what you said. God works it out for your good.
Mhm.
I love how you said that it wasn't about the end result of getting or not getting a job. It was the fact that you pushed yourself out of your comfort zone and made it happen.
Yeah.
You were intentional, right?
Right. Hmm.
Um, it said you are on your way, sis. Your path is aligned with who you are becoming.
Wow. Thank you. Thank
And
you.
you are doing a good job. That was from Tony's. You are doing a
My
good job.
baby.
Love you
Hey,
bunches.
Mookie.
And and then Tony said, I'm about to start the online for your shirt. So she's gonna make your shirt. Go ahead on, girl. I got the first order. But you have to realize and understand. I love the fact that, you know, the one thing I love about Sister Talk is that it forces you, if you are part and you stay connected, you
Yeah.
can't help. It's like you said, you can't
Right.
help but go up.
Right.
And I also know you have been very instrumental in a lot of the boss up programs, the personal mission, personal branding, boot camp, the whole nine. And I'm just in awe. I'm in awe from that woman that came in the dark, and now she is lighting it on fire and giving other people the stones that they need. And I'm saying it because someone just said, we all need those life stepping stones made of God to help us to the top.
Oh.
Marchell, you are putting those stones in the place for people to be able to step on. And I am glad to call you friend. I'm glad to have you as my partner. I'm glad to have you as my ride or die. Like, I'm just glad to know you.
Thank
And I'm excited for what is about to come. I can't wait for everything to be revealed because they don't even know what's coming up, what's coming behind the scenes, and I ain't giving nothing away. I'm excited.
you.
So someone says, "This girl is on fire" in my Alicia Keys voice. Who said that? Nick Vereen.
That's that's my nephew,
He
my
said,
brother,
"This
one of
girl
my
is
best
on
friends. I
fire."
love Nick.
And
That's
then
Marcy's
someone else
dad.
gave you another name of a book. Is From the Bonnet to the Crown.
Don't be telling my
And
business
see,
though.
I know, it's all your friends and sister talk. We don't know how to keep our mouth shut. So that's just how we do it around here, right?
Yeah.
But I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for saying yes. I
Hmm.
want to say thank you for
Thank
saying yes.
you. Thank you, Tina. Whew, you said you in awe of me. I honestly am in awe of myself, but I want to thank you, and I thank you so many times, but I don't think it's enough because I know you've like really emphasized the things I've done and that I'm going to do, but your platform, your transparency, I was at a place where I was ready to take those steps and start making those changes and start really doing an introspection of like who I am. But your space nurtured that, right? Your space gave me guidance on how to do it, and y'all applauded me the entire way. So for those who on a part of Sister Talk or are, but wasn't there when I first came on, the whole bonnet to crown thing. Again, we're in the pandemic. And so it's just ladies showing up on a Friday night after a long work week. You show up literally how you want to. And so we wear bonnets sometimes, and so I have the bonnet on and I was in the dark, almost like you can barely see my shadow. And so that is very descriptive of like the transformation. And I just want to say, and I say this to people, you're worth pushing through. And sometimes you don't even know what your next step is going to be. You don't know if it's even going to be worth it, if it's even doing anything, because for so long I was doing things, right? I was trying, but it's just until recently that I really started seeing the evidence, the manifestation of all those what I thought were just little things. Just be intentional. Just say, today I'm going to do something different. Today I'm going to get up. Because sometimes that's all you really can do is just get out of bed. Some days the best you can do is take a shower, right? But like push yourself and just continue to push and not give up. And I promise you, if you just continue to do that, you will start seeing some changes. But it's like working out. You have to continually do it. You have to be intentional about doing it and being honest with yourself in the process and giving yourself grace. But I can't tell you one particular thing that I did. All I can tell you is that I kept doing. That's it.
Yeah, well, we're working on that because we're starting to document
Right.
what we did and
Okay.
how we did it.
But I mean that one thing that was like, this is, the changing point, because it wasn't just one thing. That's what I mean by that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Diana Bell says, when you finally give yourself permission to be who you are, who you were called to be, it opens up the door to where everything falls in line right when you need it. Keep going, keep doing, keep being, keep showing up.
Oh, thank you, Diana, aka Mook. Thank
And
you.
then Nick says again, we are each gifted in a unique and important way. It is our privilege and our adventure to discover our own light. You have found it. So proud of you.
Okay, so how much longer do we have?
Oh
Because
my gosh. Okay, so I mean, we're
I just want
good.
to say really quick though, like the Nick and Tony's that are commenting, that's my oldest niece and my oldest nephew, and a lot of what I do, and a lot of who I am is because I didn't want them to have to go through the same things that I did. And also, I wanted them to know that even if you did have to go through some things, that you don't have to stay there, that doesn't have to be all that's available for you. And when I tell you, I'm so proud of them, I am so proud of them. Um, that's probably the greatest thing that's come out of all of it. And when I can appreciate it, right? Like I'm just so thankful. I am.
Well, clearly they are thankful and very proud of you and all of your sisters at
Yeah.
all your sisters at Sister Talk are too. And Nick said, "Who's cutting onions?" Yeah, Nick, I think we all got some onion juice floating around in the air. But I just want to say thank you. Like I said, I want to say thank you um, for all that you do. I mean, I could not do half of the things that I do without you. I just want you to know that. Like,
Thank
I
you.
couldn't. When I said I raised my hand and said, "Look, I need help," you said, "Okay, here I am." You were intentional. You said, "Okay, I got it." When I pushed you, you didn't push back. You said, "Oh, this gonna hurt,"
And
but
you
here
do
we
push.
go.
You definitely push.
But look. I mean, and I don't take no credit. You did all the work. And I am so, so proud of you. And someone said, "What? Who said that?" Eureka talking about, "I'm so proud I have celebrity friends like Tina and Marchell." Girl, bye. Whatever. Whatever.
You should
Whatever,
be up here
girl.
too, boo. You a celebrity too, if that's the case.
Absolutely. Listen, we got this thing going on. So you hold tight, and I'm gonna close us out real quick, but I want to come back and talk to you too. So hold on. All right, y'all heard it. Y'all, I thank y'all for participating in tonight's SheShed. If you enjoyed this kind of conversation, let me know. Make sure you tell me. Make sure you give me a shout out because we can do more like these. I have a lot of people in my circle, a lot of women in my circle who have bossed up and they are making strides and they're doing some things. I don't take it light and I definitely don't take it for granted. When I say life strategy coach, baby, that's exactly what we do around here. We help you build your life into a business because you are the CEO of your own life. And if you don't realize it, come join the group. We'll help you to realize and help you to find it. But realize as a CEO, you get a chance and an opportunity to promote, demote, and terminate anything that is no longer serving you. So while you're sitting there trying to figure out why is this happening to me, as Marchell said, why not ask, why not? And if it's really something really bad, then want you to ask yourself, why are you allowing it? Because can't nobody do nothing to you that you don't allow them to do. So I need you to realize and understand, stand up for yourself because ain't no knight in shining armor coming. You're going to have to do it yourself. And I have all faith in you and your abilities to do it. I love y'all, and I'll see you next Wednesday in the SheShed. Bye-bye.